Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I just want to go over 13 horror films from the Criterion collection. Hi guys, like I said, I just want to go over some films from the Criterion collection. These are just going to be 13 movies that I would recommend checking out during this October season. I know Halloween is coming up, it's right around the corner for us, and if you are a huge Criterion fan, you can find some of these on the Criterion channel, or you might have some of them in your collection that you may have just been, just putting off watching, but these are just going to be 13 titles that I feel like would be a fun time watching during Halloween. And so I'm going to start off with the oldest titles to the newest, if that makes sense, like in the released year, I guess, that they came out. So starting things off here, I have a film from 1922, and that is the film Hacken. I know I've talked about this movie before on this channel. I've actually probably talked about this in already a Halloween video, but I'm going to recommend it again. This is a fantastic film. It's such a fun, old, like, witch movie, I guess. Now, the film is in black and white. It is like a tinted black and white, and so the whole screen might be like a blue or like a green or whatever color, just depends on what mood they were trying to set. It's in like, it has like Swedish title cards that pop up for the whole screen, but there is English subtitles. So if you haven't seen this movie, I would highly recommend checking out Hacken. The next one here, this is from 1942, and that is the film Cat People. This is one that I feel like not a ton of people talk about, and I remember watching this. It's been a couple years since I've seen this, but I remember watching this, and I really, really liked it. I feel like it was like about somebody who was basically transforming into a cat. If I remember correctly. I might be mistaken on that, but I really enjoyed it when I did see it, and I would recommend checking out if you want like a creepy, I think it's black and white as well. Yeah, just like a creepy, like, black and white, not necessarily horror-esque, but for the 1942, I feel like it was on the scarier side. So the next one here, this is from 1958, and this is one that a lot of people probably has already seen, but this is the original Blob film. And this has, what's his name in it? Steve McQueen. And I really like this film. I feel like it's just, it's definitely like cheesy. It's definitely like a movie from the 50s, if that makes sense. There is, of course, the remake of The Blob, which people argue that is a better film. But I really actually do like the Steve McQueen version of it. I feel like it has that like cheesy 50s feeling to it. But the next one here, this is from 1960, and that is the film Eyes Without a Face. So this is actually a French film, and it's definitely creepy. It has some very creepy imagery throughout it, and it almost is like it borderlines like almost like disturbing feeling. And so yeah, I really actually like this one, and yeah, definitely check this one out if you have not seen it already. And this one should come as no surprise to anybody, but this is from 1968, and this is a film that everyone has probably seen by now, but that is the film Night of the Living Dead. This is just a classic. I feel like you can't go wrong with watching this film. This is definitely one that I try to watch at least once a year, especially around the Halloween time. But definitely highly recommend. You know, if you haven't seen it, what are you doing? Go check it out. It's awesome. This is another one from 1968, and this is just a film that a lot of people have seen as well. And this is actually out of print. I should add too, not all of these are in print. Some of these are out of print, but that is the film Rosemary's Baby. I mean, I can't really say too much about this film, what that hasn't already been said. It's just fantastic. It's just one of those movies that is a staple within the horror genre. And so definitely go check that out if you have not seen it. It just has a lot of, I don't know, it feels very like, in my opinion, it feels kind of claustrophobic. And I mean, it's a classic. But the next one here, this is from 1973. And this one actually just came back into print. This was out of print for a while, but I think they're releasing this on 4K if I'm not mistaken. And that is the film Don't Look Now. And so you could argue that this film isn't necessarily horror. It definitely has horror elements to it. When I think horror, I don't necessarily like think of this type of film, but I do enjoy Don't Look Now. I feel like it has, especially the ending, it is a shocking ending, and just overall just fantastic. And the next one here, this is actually from 1973 as well, and that is Brian De Palma's Sisters. So this definitely has some of his techniques that he's used throughout all of his other films. I think this was one of his first, actually, to use some of the techniques, like whether that was like split screen focus or just that feeling of film that he went on to do in films like Dressed to Kill or Blowout or I'm trying to think, Body Double or anything like that he like kind of just went on to do. I feel like he kind of started with this, at least that's what I remember. So yeah, definitely a fantastic film. This next one, this is from 1977, and this is probably on every single Criterion horror list out there, but that is the film House. This is just a classic Criterion film in general. I mean, I feel like this is like a staple within the collection, and this movie's insane. It's absolutely just crazy. It is in Japanese with English subtitles, but yeah, I don't want to say anything about that movie because I feel like the less you know about it, the better. If you just go into it completely blind, I feel like you'll just have a fantastic time. It's just wild. I'm just going to leave it at that. And if you've seen it before, you know what I mean? It's just an absolute wild time. But the next one here I have from 1979, and that is The Brood. This is David Cronenberg. I couldn't quite decide which David Cronenberg movie to include in this. I feel like all of his films could like be on this list, and I don't know. There's something about this movie that just feels very creepy. I think it's like the little like creepy kids. They just really just feel like scary to me, and I don't know. I feel like they just set a really like haunting atmosphere. But the next one is actually David Cronenberg as well, and this is from 1988. Yeah, 1988, and that is Dead Ringers. So this is a movie that I really gets under your skin. I feel like it's, especially towards the end, I just feel like the climax of the film is just very like, I don't know, like, I don't want to say icky, but it was a very disturbing film, and which I like that about it. I feel like that is exactly the type of film that it is trying to be, and I feel like even some of the ways that they film some things, I feel like it was very, very interesting. And so just overall, it's a very interesting film. This is actually out of print as well. So yeah, this one would be, I mean, if you have a DVD or Blu-ray copy of the film, I mean, that would work as well. But it is technically within the Criterion collection. This one is, again, just a staple in horror as a genre, and that's from 1990, and that is the film Silence of the Lambs. If you have not seen this film, you are missing out on one of the greatest horror, like thriller type of films. It is technically horror, but there are a lot of like, some people would consider it to be a thriller because there's a lot of aspects that could be thriller more than like horror. I consider it to be horror. It's the only like horror film really to get, or to be nominated, or you know, to win Best Picture is what I'm trying to say. So this is one that I definitely need to get the Blu-ray for, but yeah, just a fantastic film all around. And the last one here, this is from 2015, and I know I've talked about this movie before. I think I've talked about this in my favorite Criterion releases out there, and I also need to get this on Blu-ray, but that is the film The Lure. This is just an absolute wild film. This is in Polish, and it is, the best way I can describe this film is it's a Polish musical, like mermaid, vampire, love story, horror comedy. I think that's the best way I can describe it. There's a lot of different pieces to this movie, and I absolutely love it. I think this is just a very underrated film overall. More people need to check this out. It is probably, I should say, it's probably not for everyone. I feel like there's some aspects that are kind of disturbing with it, but yeah, I would probably consider it to be horror, because there's definitely some like horror pieces to it. But that is my list. That is all like 13 Criterion horror films that I would recommend. Obviously, there are a lot more that I could have recommended. I could have, I mean, there was, you know, as I said, David Cronenberg, there's a ton. I didn't put any David Lynch films in here. I just feel like his movies aren't necessarily horror. Some people would disagree with me on that. I feel like he makes like films with horror elements, but I wouldn't say they're like horror films, if that makes sense. And then of course there's other movies in the collection that are, you know, considered to be horror that I'm just either forgetting about, or I haven't seen, or, you know, for one reason or another they didn't make the list. But let me know in the comments down below, what Criterion films do you consider to be like a great horror film to check out during the month of October? Do you agree with some of these? Like, if you have seen some of these, what did you think of them? Thank you guys so much for watching, and I appreciate everybody taking the time to comment on these videos. I love reading your comments. See you guys all in the next video. Bye.